Hello and welcome back to ManVFilm. It is an unboxing video this time for a bunch of Imprint titles that I have received. Now I have kind of watched all of these. I've done reviews for all of them. Some are on the channel, some are still to come, so bear in mind and check them out if you get the chance. And first up we have The Music of Chance, number 142, with a great cast of Jim Spader, Mandy Patinkin, M. Emmett Walsh, Charles Durning, Joel Grey, Samantha Mathis and Christopher Penn. It's a great movie. One of those ones that's just never been heard of before. And this was probably one of the least watched reviews I've posted in a long while, which is a bit disappointing. Not disappointed because people didn't check out the review, but disappointing because they may miss out on a wonderful movie. The Music of Chance is such an unusual gambling movie. It's such an unusual movie because I really feel like it's like an almost Rorschach test in video form, because you can pull a lot out of this, a real lot, depending on what's on your mind at the time. You get fantastic character actors doing terrific work and a really unusual and compelling storyline. The Music of Chance is a really odd, unique, weird movie, but it is pretty terrific. I would urge anybody to maybe check out my review, see what my actual thoughts on it, or pick it up. It's phenomenal. Next up, we have Paul Newman in Nobody's Fool. What an absolute joy of a movie this one was. Small town where all the characters are pretty much under each other's feet. They've got their kind of problems with each other, but they put them away at night and they sit down and have a game of cards and chit chat and talk. It's incredibly endearing. It's hilariously funny. It's one of those movies where it's not a lot happens plot wise, but story wise, as we watch the evolution of a cantankerous old man soften just a little, it's just incredibly fun to watch. Next up we have number 143 from 1988. It is The Beast. A war movie that people were telling me is one of the best unsung war movies they'd ever heard of. Those people were right. It was phenomenal. About a Russian tank that gets lost in a valley after decimating a Afghan town, and the survivors chasing after the tank trying to tear it apart. It's, again, so compelling. It's got some great characters. It's got exciting action set pieces. It's got this rousing finale that is so tense, edge of the seat stuff. It's just, wow. What a movie with some stark, broad landscapes of nothingness, compact inside of tanks. This movie just was edge of the seat stuff from start to finish. Wow, terrific. Next up we've got Hoor from 1991, number 146 in the Imprint range. This one is a real oddball of a movie. Not one that I really enjoyed sitting down to. I feel the more I've sat with it after watching it, the more I've kind of appreciated it. It's still one I'll need to go back to again as a kind of counterpoint to Pretty Woman. We have a jaunty, fun and larger than life Teresa Russell talking to the camera, giving all these fun anecdotes about some of the most horrendous and horrific things that's happened to her through her working life as a prostitute. I appreciate what Russell was trying to do. I even think it may work, but for some reason I just couldn't connect with the movie. I would definitely go back and watch it again. There's nothing that puts me off. There's no, don't see anything visceral in this one. A couple of violent sequences, but most of the time it's just telling the tales, breaking the fourth wall and talking to the viewer. Still not sure about Whore at all. Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead was one of my favourite movies from the 90s. Came out in 1995, number 144 in the Imprint range. It was a favourite of mine, and I'm always a little worried going back to a favourite movie. Is it going to live up to what my memory of it was? Things to Do in Denver really did that. It's got its own language, its own dialect throughout it, as these larger than life gangster characters have their own way of communicating. It's got some wonderful funny set pieces. It's got hilarious standout character moments that are just tremendous, and a main character that I really do love. In fact, I love all these characters, and even though the ending is kind of downbeat, it's also strangely comforting at the same time, which is a hard thing to do, but wonderfully well constructed. And on to what I left to the last, because I just wasn't sure how I was going to go on with it. Jim Sheridan box set, 4 Irish movies. Now, I'll open these up and we'll talk about them individually. So, first up from 89, number 130 is My Left Foot. This is the one I had seen before. There was actually one other one I'd seen before, but I didn't realise it. But this was the one I knew I'd seen, and I pretty much thought it was fantastic. Again, revisiting it, Daniel Day-Lewis giving a knockout performance here as Christie, a character who's just struggling to deal with the world that he's in, struggling to deal with the illness that he has and the way people perceive him. But my goodness, it's so well put together. It's such a rousing story. I kept waiting on a really downbeat moment in this guy's life, but it's just him kind of struggling to get by and finding the sort of greener grass on the other side once he can get through his troubles. The relationship he had with his mother was just fantastic. Again, the performance was terrific. I can't fault it at all. Next, from 1990, 139 in the Imprint range, was The Field, with Richard Harris as Bull Mccabe. And this one kind of blew me away, because set in the 1930s, we've got a character who just wants to buy a field, who really wants this field he's been working on for 10 years, and he is going to just tear this whole village and town apart if he doesn't get it. A rich American turns up wanting to buy all this land, and Bull Mccabe just can't deal with that, going old school on him. I believe he's called Bull because of his bullheadedness, his inability to take any criticism whatsoever. He gets something in his head, he's going to go towards it. Richard Harris is phenomenal in this movie. Such a performance that's just larger than anything else in the film. He radiates control, rage, determination, everything with just a glance. It's such a compelling film as well, because I had no idea where it was going to go and the twists and turns it would take. But man, it was something pretty good. I mean, it was 2 movies into this set, both 5 out of 5 movies for me. I didn't think it could get any better, and then I stuck on In the Name of the Father from 1993, number 140 in the Imprint range, and my goodness, this thing was so captivating from the start to the finish. The time just flew by. I loved the characters. I was enraged. It emotionally manipulated me into feeling what the characters were feeling without feeling that I was being manipulated. I just was with them on their journey. I wanted justice for these people who were wrongly incarcerated and left to rot simply because people just had a feeling that they might have possibly done it, or they were Irish and they were there. It's just such a horrific story, but told in such a way where it finishes up, you feel as if you've went through the ringer and you've came out on the other side. The Jerry Conlon story was terrific, but it's the interplay between Daniel Day-Lewis and Pete Postlethwaite that just made the movie sing to me. Utterly fantastic. And to round out this box set, from 1997, number 141 is The Boxer, where you have Daniel Day-Lewis as a boxer who was in prison for 14 years. He had done something for the IRA and was kind of forgotten about. He gets out of jail and wants to go back to the boxing world, train, live his life in where he used to stay, and just, you know, put his head down and move on. Maybe reconnect with his old girlfriend, but that seems to be a problem for the political aspect of the movie. But yeah, it's still a good film. But when you followed My Left Foot, The Field, and Name of the Father, anything that's not perfect is a bit of a letdown. And The Boxer was, although a good movie, a bit of a letdown because it wasn't as solid as the rest of them. A movie that didn't know if it wanted to be a boxing movie, political about the troubles in Ireland, or a love story. Tries to do all three, didn't quite work 100%. Again, it's still like a 4 out of 5 movie. Fantastic. This has been the best month from Imprint since I started getting their titles. Amazing, absolutely jaw-dropping spectacle of films. Every time I thought I'd hit the pinnacle, something else would along and be even better. It was terrific. What a joy for a film fan to go through. I'd love to know if you've seen any of these movies, if there's any of them that you're wanting to check out, any that you've picked up. Let me know in the comment box below and we'll have a little chit chat about them. More content up here if you want to see more of my stuff. In the description box is a link to the Patreon and the membership program where you can support me further, as well as buying some cool ManVFilm merch. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.